Imagine a rat in a cage. In front of it, there is a small red button. If the rat presses the button and food comes out every single time, the rat is happy. It eats until it is full, and then it ignores the button. It goes to sleep. It has zero obsession. The button is predictable. The button is boring. Now, imagine the scenario changes. The rat presses the button. Nothing happens. It presses again. A huge piece of food appears. It presses a third time. Nothing. A fourth time. Nothing. A fifth time. A small crumb. The rat doesn't know when the reward is coming. It only knows that it might come. Do you know what happens to the rat? It stops eating other food. It stops sleeping. It does nothing but press that button over and over again until it dies of exhaustion. It becomes a slave to the uncertainty. This is not just an experiment on rats. This was a study conducted by B.F. Skinner in the 1950s, and it revealed the darkest, most terrifying flaw in the psychology of every living creature on Earth. Including humans. Including you. And most importantly, including the person you are trying to understand. This mechanic is called intermittent reinforcement. It is the psychological foundation of every casino slot machine in Las Vegas. It is the algorithm behind your social media feed. And it is the secret weapon used by the most dangerous manipulators, the most seductive lovers, and the most powerful leaders in history to create absolute, undying addiction. Welcome to the deep end of dark psychology. Today, we are not just talking about influence. We are talking about how to hack the dopamine reward system of another human being. We are going to deconstruct the addiction glitch in the human brain. I am going to show you why being nice and consistent often leads to being ignored, and why being unpredictable makes you unforgettable. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how obsession is engineered, and you will hold the keys to the most potent psychological drug in existence. But a warning before we descend. This knowledge is hazardous. Once you see the pattern, you will realize that almost every toxic relationship you have ever witnessed, and every heartbreak you have ever suffered, was driven by this exact mechanism. You cannot unsee this. If you are ready to take the red pill, keep listening. Part 1: The biology of the chase. To understand why we become addicted to people who treat us poorly, or inconsistent people, we have to look at the neurochemistry of the brain. Most people think that dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. That is a lie. Dopamine is not pleasure. Dopamine is craving. Dopamine is the fuel of seeking. When you get what you want, your dopamine actually drops. The thrill is in the anticipation. When a person is consistent, when they always text back immediately, when they always say I love you, when they are always available, they are creating a pattern of continuous reinforcement. The brain adapts to this instantly. It says, okay, this source of reward is guaranteed. I don't need to spend energy worrying about it. The value of that person drops. They become the safe option. And in the brutal hierarchy of human desire, safe is often synonymous with boring. However, when a person pulls away, the brain experiences a prediction error. Your brain expected a text, but it didn't get one. Your brain expected warmth, but it got coldness. This error triggers a massive spike in dopamine. Your brain goes into overdrive, asking, why? What changed? What did I do? You start analyzing their last message. You start checking their online status. You start thinking about them 24/7. The uncertainty is the hook. The pain of the withdrawal makes the next moment of validation feel 10 times more euphoric than it actually is. This creates a chemical roller coaster that binds the victim to the manipulator stronger than any genuine emotional connection ever could. This is called a trauma bond. Part 2: The cycle of control. So, how is this weaponized? Dark psychologists and master manipulators do not stumble into this. They engineer it. They follow a specific 4-stage cycle that mirrors the design of a slot machine. If you want to recognize this, or if you are daring enough to understand its mechanics, you need to know the stages. Stage 1 is the jackpot. You cannot create an addict without first giving them a massive win. In relationships, this is known as love bombing. The manipulator floods the target with attention, validation, and intensity. They mirror your dreams. They make you feel like the most important person in the world. This phase establishes the baseline of expectation. The rat presses the button, and a feast appears. The victim's brain is flooded with dopamine and oxytocin. They feel high. They think, finally, I have found the one. This stage is crucial because it creates the contrast necessary for the pain that follows. You cannot miss something you never had. Stage 2 is the pull away. Just when the victim is fully invested, the manipulator withdraws. Not entirely, but noticeably. The texts become shorter. The dates get canceled. The warmth turns into a lukewarm indifference. This is the first prediction error. The victim panics. Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? This anxiety is not a bad thing for the manipulator, it is the goal. The victim begins to chase the high of stage 1. They start putting in more effort. They double their investment to get the reward back. Stage 3 is the breadcrumb. This is the core of intermittent reinforcement. Just as the victim is about to give up, just as they are about to say this isn't worth it, the manipulator gives them a hint. A sudden burst of affection. A perfect date. A long, emotional phone call. The rat presses the button for the 100th time, and finally, the food appears. The relief the victim feels is overwhelming. It feels like salvation. The brain encodes this lesson: if I just try hard enough, if I just wait long enough, the reward will come. The victim is now trained. They are not staying for the person, they are staying for the relief from the anxiety that the person caused. Stage 4 is the normalization of scarcity. Over time, the rewards become fewer and farther between. The jackpots stop happening, and the victim settles for mere crumbs. They begin to accept bad behavior, disrespect, and neglect, simply because they are terrified of losing the chance for that next small hit of dopamine. The manipulator has become the god of their reality, controlling their emotional state with nothing more than silence or a single word. The victim is no longer a partner, they are a prisoner of their own chemistry. Part 3, the art of being the prize. Now, you might be thinking, this is evil. I don't want to destroy people. And you are right. Using this to abuse someone is the trait of a narcissist. However, there is a fundamental lesson here for anyone who wants to command respect and maintain attraction. You do not have to be toxic, but you must be valuable. And value is linked to scarcity. If you are always available, you are cheap. If your validation is free, it is worthless. The nice guy or the pleaser gives everything for nothing, and that is why they finish last. They use continuous reinforcement, and they bore their partners into leaving. To apply the white hat version of this law, you must have a life outside of the other person. You must have a mission, a purpose, and goals that are more important to you than their approval. When you are genuinely busy building your empire, you are naturally intermittent. You don't text back instantly because you are working. You don't see them every day because you have other priorities. This natural scarcity creates the same dopamine spikes, but it is healthy. It signals that you are a high-status individual. It signals that your time is a limited resource. It makes the time you do spend with them feel special, earned, and valuable. It creates the chase without the toxicity. You must understand that humans are hunters by nature. We do not value what falls into our lap. We value what we have to work for. We value what is just a little bit out of reach. If you hand yourself over on a silver platter, you kill the mystery. You kill the desire. Part 4, breaking the spell. Finally, we must discuss defense. If you are listening to this and you realize you are the rat in the cage, if you are checking your phone every minute, waiting for a crumb from someone who treats you like an option, you need to understand that this is not love. It is a chemical addiction. The only way to break a dopamine addiction is cold turkey. You cannot taper off. You cannot negotiate with a slot machine. You have to walk out of the casino. You have to cut the source of the uncertainty. Block the number. Remove the access. The withdrawal will be painful. Your brain will scream at you to go back for one last hit. But you must recognize that voice for what it is, a glitch. It is not your heart speaking, it is your addiction dying. Conclusion. The world is divided into two types of people, the players and the pieces. The players understand the rules of the game. They understand that the human mind is flawed, that it craves what it cannot predict, and that it chases what retreats. The pieces believe that fairness and constant availability will get them what they want, and they are left confused when they are taken for granted. Intermittent reinforcement is the law of gravity in the world of desire. You can hate it, you can deny it, but you cannot escape it. The question is not whether this force exists. The question is, will you be the one pressing the button, or will you be the rat in the cage? Choose wisely.